Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we're in Masechta Sotah daf Beis, very beginning of the Masechta. Of course, we will begin with the Mishnah. Hamekane leishto. Mekane refers to a man who warns his wife that she should not seclude herself with another man. On this, Rashi says lishton dekra nakat. The reason why our Mishnah uses this language of Hamekane, because that is what the pasuk says, V'kinias ishto, that the man warned his wife regarding this matter. So, in this, the Mishnah tells us, the Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Mekanua al pishnayim. It's necessary, according to the Shita of Rabbi Eliezer, he requires that this warning to his wife needs to be done in front of two people. And then, if he did that, then umashkal pi ed echad, o al pi atzmo, regarding the actual witness of seclusion. So in that situation, all you need is one witness, or even himself. Not that they actually saw her having tashmish with this man, but that there's one witness that actually saw the seclusion. That would be sufficient for her to drink mei Sotah. So in this Rashi says, Mekanu al pishnayim, imbol hashkaisa, if she's going to come to drink, sarach lahevi shnei edim, sharmim bifnehem al tisteri imoy, that he had to have said these words to his wife, that do not seclude yourself with this man. So you need two people to have heard that take place. V'imlo kini lo bifnei shnayim, if you don't do this, einu neseres la b'stirasa v'einu mashke. If you don't have two witnesses that heard the husband warn the wife not to seclude herself, then the din is that she will not drink from the Sotah. However, mashka pi echad o al pi atzma, says Rashi, v'afil ein edim shenistra, even if there's ela eid echad o hu atzmai, all you have is the man himself or one witness that saw her seclude herself. Oimer, and he says, re'isiha shenistra achar shekinesi la, I saw her seclude herself after she was warned, or I warned her. Neseres bestira ad shetishta. This is enough to answer her to her husband until she actually drinks from the mei Sotah. So this, as we're going to see in this Masechta, we learn out from Sotah that it's a suffix. So suffix, since it was a Rishus Yachid, it was only her and this man. So we say that she is Safek L'chumra or Tameh, and therefore she's going to be usher to her husband until she drinks mei Sotah. So that is the Shita of Rabbi Eliezer, who holds that when it comes to the kinoi, it's necessary to have two witnesses, but for the actual humashka, she can drink the mei Sotah even if there's just one witness that saw her secluded. Okay, so that's that opinion. Rabbi Yeshua disagrees and says Mekanu al pi shnayim, that he actually agrees to Rabbi Eliezer in regard to the warning that it must be done with two witnesses, that the husband warned his wife and had to be done in front of two witnesses. Umashka al pi shnayim. However, in this we see that Rabbi Yeshua is strict and says that you also have to have two witnesses that actually saw her secluded. So then the Gemara says, the Mishnah says, Ketzad Mekanila. How exactly does this take place, this warning? So Omer lo b'fnei shnayim, you should say in front of two people, because both of these opinions hold it must be in front of two witnesses. Al tedabri im ish ploni, do not speak with this man. V'dibri imo, and she spoke with him. Now, if you look in Rashi, v'dibri imo shelo bimkoin seiser, in a non-secluded area. Adayin hi muteres lebeisa u'muteres lecha b'truma. If that's what happened, she's still allowed to be with her husband, and she could still have relations with him. And if she's the wife of a Kohen, if she's an Ashes Kohen, she's also allowed to eat truma, because all she did was speak with him, with this man, in a public area. That's not that's not a warning, and that's not obviously the potential of tashmish. Nichnasi imo lebeis haseser. If she enters with him into a house, v'shohasu imo kadei tuma, and she stayed there enough time kadeh hara that he could have had the initial tashmish with her, asur levesa v'asur echel b'truma. Then at that point, she's now mesafik. She's not allowed to eat truma, and she's not allowed to be with her husband. And Rashi says, of course, this is a suffix. Why? And we're going to see later on Daf Chav Ches, Shloisha v'nitma amurim b'parsha. It says the word v'nitma, impure 3 times. V'kinias ishta v'hi nitma, v'nisr v'hi nitma, tachas isha v'nitma. It says it 3 times. So echad asur labal. One is to tell you that a sotah is asur to her husband. V'echad shasur boil. She can't go back to this man that she allegedly had relations with. Im yomos bala. Even if her husband dies, she is no longer she's no longer allowed to go to this man. O yigershena, or if she got divorced. V'echad she'asur truma. And the third is saying she's also asur to eat truma if she's an eshes kohen. And then the Mishnah concludes, if let's say before she drinks the Sotah and she has no children, and therefore technically she's zakak yavam, so we're going to say that she should do chalitza, so that she can marry someone in the market, but we're not going to have her do yibum. The Gemara is going to explain that aspect, not in the stuff. So says the Gemara. So we have these 2 opinions. Michti Tana min Nazir Salak. So we were just learning Masechtas Nazir, and now all of a sudden here we are continuing with Sotah. My Tana de Katana Saita. So who's the Tana who are in this whole din of Saita, that there's a connection between Naziris and Saita? Kid Rabbi. Tisani Rabbi Oimer Lom Nismacha Parshas Nazil Parsha Saita. What is the connection between the two? Loimelcha. Shekoyel Haraya Saita Bekilkula. Anyone who sees a Sotah in this lowly status of her walking around the base of Mikdash, it's going to be discussed at great length in this Masechta, exactly the procedure. So anyone who would see such a thing, Yazar Atzman or Yayin, you should separate yourself from wine. As Rashi says, Shayayin maybe lidi kalos reish who garmla. Most likely it was the wine that caused her to lock herself in seclusion with this other man. So velisni site of a hundred listening nazir. If that's the case, so the first thing that happened was he saw her as a site. Then he then he became a nazir. So why is it first mentioned site? Why is Masechtas nazir before? So I did the tanik suvis v'tana hamadir tana nedarim. Since it talked about Masechtas Ksuvas, which we had already. So since we were mentioning Ksuvas, which in it talked about the dinim of Nedarim, certain vows and certain obligations. So I did the Tana Nedarim, Tana Nazir. So then we mentioned about Nedarim, Nedarim and Nazir are closely linked. The Dami with Nedarim, but Katani Saita Kid Rabbi. So the whole notion is, you're right, really Sotah should come before Nazir, but Nazir is linked to Nazir is linked to Nedarim, and Nedarim is linked to Ksuvas. So that's the reason why Ksuvas and then Nedarim, which is very connected, similar to Nazir, which is a type of vow, and therefore that's why it's they're right next to each other. They're these Mishnayos, and then all afterwards we have Masechtas Saita. Okay, so going back to this language of our Mishnah, it says Hamakane, which says that a person did this. Now, it's actually a language of di'avid in l'chatchila loy. It sounds like l'chatchila, you should not put yourself or your wife into this situation of warning her in front of 2 people, saying, don't seclude yourself with such and such a man. So, ksavar tane didan, aser lakanais. It sounds like from our Tana that it's forbidden to do so. Says Rashi, shemevi atzmo lidei tagar v'es ishto lidei nibul yafil hi tahira. So it ends up putting you and your wife in a precocious situation, making her look bad, making her look lowly, even if she in fact is innocent, but it's just the accusation alone which is something you should not do. So Amar Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak, ki havi pasach reish lakish b'saita, whenever he would begin learning and darshaning from Parsha Saita, Amar Hach, he would say like this, Ein mezavgin lo adam isha elafi masav. He would say that she's partnered with a man only according to your actions, or the actions of the Baal. Usually, if you want to get a sense of who the woman is, you can look at who the man is. If you want to know who the man is, you look at who the woman is. They're usually similar. A woman who's more senua, more modest, will gravitate toward a tzaddik, and a woman who's a perutza will gravitate toward the rasha. Shenemer ki lo yanuach shevid haresha al girl hatzadikim. That we don't find the rasha together and linked and paired up with the tzaddik. Omarab bar Barchan Rav Yochanan v'kashan l'zvogin k'kriyas yamsuf. That marriage is very difficult. To be able to connect two different people together, that they should have similar personalities, it's just as difficult as Kriyas Yamsuf. And Rashi says, Tanu Sidri Brachus, that Hashem had to actually go against the nature of the world and to split the sea, which is so against the ordinary. So too, in order to be able to ironically bring people together, he has to do an element of kriya. You have to do an element of separation to be able to bring others together. And the way that some explain is that Haryamu Kadeshet Li is that she is making herself also to everyone else, like she's separating, like Kriyas Yamsuf, separating herself in order to connect to this man. But again, the question is certainly fascinating that we compare a marriage to the Kriyas Yamsuf, to the splitting of the sea. Obviously, there's a lot of Torah that one could imagine. What exactly is that connection? But it means it's a difficult task for Hashem to do, because it's something in which he's actually involved in. Shnemar Elokim Moishiv Yechidim Boisa, that Hashem takes the individuals to the house. Says Rashi, Adam Yochid V'ish Yechida, individuals for whom Zavgan Yachad, he pairs them up, Umiyashim Mehem Bias, and he makes a house for them. Moitzi Asirim Bakoi Sharais, and he takes out of bondage those in their proper time. Says Rashi, Haitzi Es Yisrael Mitzrayim B'Chodesh Kasher. He took out the Jewish people in a good time. Now it's too cold, now it's too hot. So we see again, there's a connection that to Yesias Mitzrayim. And the way that Rashi explains it, that it's considered to be kosharos at a good proper time, is that it wasn't just that we left, but we left at the right time. So too when it comes to shidduchim, it's not just finding the right person, but also finding that right person at the precise right time. So you can maybe find the right shidduch, but maybe you were not in the frame of mind for marriage, and then all of a sudden that person has been passed up. You've lost that opportunity. And therefore, it's not alone the difficulty of finding two compatible partners, but also two compatible partners with a likeness of mind, that it's also at the right time for them to get married. Even 40 days before a child is even before a child is formed. So it says that this person is going to go to him, and this woman's going to go to him. It's already been predetermined in utero who you're going to end up marrying, which is an unbelievable statement. Rashi says, "V'im timer hakol golu lefanov." So it sounds like everything is in front of Hashem. Hakol b'di shemayim chutz mir shemayim. K'der mesechnas nida. Malach hamamuna al heharoin, the angel who was appointed for child rearing, noitel tipa, takes a drop of mavi lifnei hamakayim. Yomeres lefanav tipa zu mataheleha. What will be its status? Gibor or chalash? Will they be strong, weak, chacham or tipesh, wise or foolish, usher or ani, rich or poor? Avot tzadik v'rasha lo yikayim orlei. The enze b'di shemayim. because this is not something which is in the hands of Hashem. So this is what is an unusual circumstance, but it's already been predetermined. Sotah ploini laploini. So the question is, how is it shaykh if hakol b'nei shemayim chutz shemayim, which is what Rashi clearly says in the Gemara's Kasha, is that it's already been predetermined who this child is going to marry. So then how do we understand this? This seems to be very difficult, because if we already know who the child is going to marry, even when they're in utero, but you have the bechira to be a tzaddik or a rasha, so then it shouldn't make sense that a tzaddik should be marrying a tzaddik and a rasha should be marrying a rasha. Sometimes you'd find a mixture of them. So Gemara says, Lo kasha, habazug rishain, habazug sheni. So what does that mean? So zug rishain is lefi mazel, zug sheni lefi masav, v'kasha lizvagan lefi shenu bas zugai. So your bas zug is your first, and then it's the second one which is lefi ma'asav. So it's very interesting. According to this pshat, the first person you marry, it is possible, because it's already been predetermined who you're going to marry. Therefore, it's shaykh that you may not necessarily find the person who is compatible. The people, the woman and man who marry, it was already predetermined, which means maybe their personalities may not totally be in tune, but by the zivig sheni, by the second marriage already, so you've already had different life experiences. So at that stage, it's not been predetermined. It's completely up to you. So that when it comes to second marriage, in which there is, again, hopefully experiences to have grown from your previous relationship, that in that situation, you're going to end up choosing someone who is more in line of who you actually are, and a similar personality, which is a very fascinating idea, that there is actually an element of a mila by the second marriage, is that it's really you yourself that is involved in that process, as opposed to the first. Okay, fine. So that is how we answer this. Rabbi Lezer oimer makani lo al pi shnai b'chul. So ad kan lo plegi el b'kinu stira. The whole machlokas is between kinu and stira. Well, again, they both, the two opinions, Rabbi Shon and Rabbi Lezer, both have the opinion that is makana, the warning has to be with two witnesses. The whole question is the actual witness who saw her being secluded, is one enough or two? However, if we're dealing with actual tumah, namely you have someone that testifies that this woman mamish was tameh, says Rashi, yesh eid in bikinu stira, yesh eid echad shekilkala b'stirasa, that he said that she actually was makalkal in her stira. Neman ve'en shaisa, she's not going to drink anymore. El yotzim lo ksuba, she leaves without a ksuba. Yasser labal v'boil truma. And as we said, she's usher to her husband. She cannot marry this guy in question. She cannot eat truma. Okay, Utanan Nami, we also learned, it says, Eid echad oimer ani re'isi, one witness says, I saw shenitmis lo haisa shaisa. So he said she doesn't drink. So midiraisa menoan demehim eid echad, how do we see by the case of Eidi Tuma, that even if all you have is one witness, that one witness is also believed? Why? How do we see this? The Tanurabanan. The pasuk says v'eid ein ba. So what do we learn out from this pasuk? V'eid ein ba. B'shnayim akasam adaber. So this is referring to, I'm just trying to find the pasuk over here. So it says, V'shachav ish oisa shichva zera. So this man was lying with her. V'nelam me'ene isha, and it was hidden from the eyes of her husband. V'nistar, she was secluded. V'hi nitma, she became impure. V'eid ein ba. It says that there were no witnesses. What does it mean there was no witnesses? B'shnayim because of madam. There weren't two witnesses, but there was still one witness. Again, v'hilo nispasa, she wasn't forced into this. It was baratzay, not ba'inus. So anyway, elafil be'echad. Maybe it means there was no one there at all. The pasuk already says lo yakum eid echad b'ish l'chol lavan l'chol chatas. B'chol chet asher yechato al pi shtayim eidim al shloisha eidim yakum davar. It already says that one aid doesn't work. You need 2 or 3 witnesses. And over here it says the word aid and it says the word echad. Why does it say the word aid and echad? Why does it have to say one witness? So the fact that it says lo yokum aid echad b'ish, as we continue with Beis and Beis, memash mishenemer lo yokum aid b'ish. So any odeshu echad. We already know if it says the word aid, we obviously understand it's one, because that's what aid is singular. So matamar echad. So all lochar should say is aid. Why does it also have to add the word echad? So this is coming to tell us an important principle for other places in the Torah. That kol makam shnemer aid. Anytime you just have the word witness, harikan shnaim, that actually is referring to 2. Echad. Why does it have to say aid echad? Is to say, don't make a mistake when it says the word aid that you would think like normally that aid means 2. I'm going to tell you aid echad, because otherwise, if all it means is always it's 1, so then l'chari should have to say the word echad, just say the word aid. It must be because the word aid alone really means 2 witnesses. So aid ein ba means there aren't 2 witnesses, but there is 1. There weren't 2 el echad. The heel of the spasa asura, and since she wasn't forced, since she had tashmish baratzon, so she will be asur. El time b'nichsev lo yokum eid echad b'ish. The only reason why we're saying this is because the pasuk says that one witness wasn't there. Halav hachi, if it didn't say that, havamina aid desaita chadhu. Would we actually think the aid of saita is 1? The iyafil chad leika. So understand when it says the aid ein ba. Oh, so maybe it only means 1. There isn't even 1. So if there's not even 1, el b'mai mistera, without aidim to testify, how would you understand this? It doesn't make any sense. If it says if aid ein ba means there wasn't 1 witness, that means there was no witnesses. Then how could there ever be stira? Doesn't make any sense. Obviously, it's referring to 2. There weren't 2, but there was 1. You can't say there wasn't 1, but there was 0. So if there was 0, then there would be no reason to answer her. Fine. So Itzrach. So where it says we need a aid ein ba ein neman ba. Maybe you would say that the 1 witness is not believed unless there are 2 aidim. Maybe that's how you're supposed to read it. Okay. Ein neman ba. You're saying that it would not be believed. The Ella, my boy. Ad ika trey. We're going to say until you need 2 witnesses. So lishta kramine. Let the pasuk say nothing by saita. Diasa davar mimamain. Just learn out of kavachayim gezer shava. The ani yadana mida to have yakol edus shabatayra. We know when it comes to all testimony in the Torah, you need 2 aidim. So that would be enough. It's going to be a saita shiny. This is actually a question that we had on the previous daf. This is actually a connection to what we saw at the end of the Masechta previously, that at the end of Masechta's Nazir, we saw cases of Raglayim Ladavar. For example, when it came to, let's say the easier one, that someone hurt someone very badly and he was dying, but he was healed, and then he got healthy again, but then died. So is the guy chayiv, or do we say it's Raglayim Ladavar? The fact that he got healthy again, the fact that he died was not connected to the original hit. So what's the Raglayim Ladavar? Shaharikini Labanistra. She was warned, don't be with this guy. And then she locks herself up with this guy. So lis Haman ba eid echad. So in that situation, you would think, you believe 1 witness. So in other words, the whole notion of 2 witnesses and say, oh, so it must be that over here you need 2 witnesses. By Sotah, you would think that you wouldn't be so strict, because when it comes to a site that's Raglayim B'davar, and therefore it should be obvious that she probably did what she did, and therefore 1 is even acceptable. So if you look in Rashi, Itzrach, Havamina kol stam aid. Anytime it says the word aid, echad hu, it's one. Ubasaita lo haviyamina demistra v'afil b'aid echad v'koshkin below aid. However, when it comes to Saita, you wouldn't think she'd be answered with one witness. V'aid echad ein nemon ela ba el shnayim. You would need two. Okay. So mi matzah samra de ein nemon ba v'sharya v'hamin echsiv v'hilu nespasim v'chal de asura. The pasuk is pretty clear that she'd be usher because she was baratzain. It's rasachnemina ein nemon ba adikatrei. It just means that she's not going to be. He won't be believed until there's two witnesses. If a trained nami, he delon espasa, and even with two witnesses, it's only if it wasn't barat, if it was not by force, kamash malan. So therefore, again, it's coming to tell you that aid ein ba, that there were not two witnesses. However, there was one, because whenever it says the word aid, it's really two, unless the pasuk excludes and specifically says one. Okay. Okay. So my time with Rabbi Yeshua. So again, according to the Shita of Rabbi Yeshua, he requires two, not only for the warning, but two to actually have witnessed her being in seclusion. So why is he strict like this? Omakra, ba v'lo b'kinoi. Ba v'lo b'stira. So when it says that all you need is one witness by tuma, that's only by edi tuma, but not by kinoi, because you need two. And ba, where you only need one by tuma, excludes stira where you need two. For Rabbi Eliezer Omer, according to the Shita of Rabbi Eliezer, who says that by kinoi you do need two, but by mashke you only need one, so he'll say like this, that really, Rabbi Eliezer Omer ba v'lo b'kinoi, that you need two by kinoi for the husband to warn her. Ve'ema ba v'lo b'stira, maybe that it also means b'stira, that one is not enough, you need two, but he says you only need one. No, stira iskish l'toma, dechsev nistira v'hi nitma. Just like when it comes to being tameh, and there's one person says that she was tameh, he's believed, so too you only need one person to say she was secluded because of this connection. So kinui nami iskish l'toma. Why don't we say the same thing by him warning her? Dechsev kinias ishto v'hi nitma. So maybe you only need one. So ha miyat rachmana ba, but there is a miyat in the pasuk. So ma'al risa. So the fact that it says ba, it's come to exclude one of them. But which one? Why are you excluding one of the other? So mistab stira difa. It makes more sense that it's stira that we're talking about. Shekin osarta kituma, because that's how she can become usher like tuma, by her being locked in. So adarab fakert kinui ad v'shekin ikar garmla. It was actually the warning which caused all of this to transpire. If he didn't warn, then this would never have happened. Fine. So ilav stira kinoi miika. Okay, but if there was no stira, then who cares about the warning? Ilav kinoi stira mayahani. So the same thing. If there was no warning, then even she secluded herself, she wouldn't drink Sotah there either. They go hand in hand. Afil hachi stira difa deschalta de tomihi. Stira is more adif. It's the beginning of tuma. So just like when it comes to tuma, you only need one witness. According to the sheet of Rabbi Eliezer, when it comes to mashke of her, someone saying that she was secluded, you also need only one witness. Okay. Deschalta de tomihi. Masnisin deloiki haitana. So our Mishnah is not like these two opinions, not like the following Tanya. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Mishom Rabbi Eliezer, Hamekanu Ishto, Mekana al pi eid echad. When you warn her, you only need, there's a third opinion, you only need one witness. Or al pi eid echad or al pi atzmai, which means, again, this is an opinion that you only need one witness for the kinoi. However, umashkil al pi shnayim. So there's three opinions. One opinion says you need two witnesses for both aspects, for kinoi or mashke. And then there's an opinion that says you need two for kinoi, one for mashke. And one says you need one for kinoi and two for mashke. So Heshiva Chachamim B'Devi Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda Ein Lo Davar Saif. So he said that when it comes to this opinion, ein lo davar saif, there's no end to this matter. So what does that mean? So basically saying that this is going to be problematic. Why? Because it says like this: my time to Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda. Why does Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda say that you only need one witness for the warning to warn the wife, and even the husband is good enough? So Amar Kram Ba v'lo b'stira. He's saying that the pasuk of Ba, one, is coming to exclude the stira, but it's not coming to exclude the kinoi, because for kinoi he says you only need one. So the aim of Ba v'lo b'kinoi. So this is what we said before. So kinoi iskish l'toma. D'chsev kinoi es ishta v'hi nitma. So stira nami iskish l'toma d'chsev nista v'hi nitma. So why does he choose one or the other? Hahu l'kamashir stira kedei tuma hud asa. It's coming to tell us the amount of time for kedei tuma hud asa, that they had to have been in there. In stira has to be that it was for a long enough time that it was shaykh that she could become tameh, that she could have had tashmish or hara with him. Heshivu chachamim l'divrei Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda ein lo davar saif. So my nihu, what exists? What is this ein davar saif, that if he's believed by himself? Because the zimnin doy kani. Let's say that's not true. Maybe he didn't warn her. The amr kanoi, but the husband lies and says, yes, I did warn her. So ha lamish nasenu. So this obviously becomes problematic, because this is what we're saying, that he's able to basically get around this situation because he's believed by himself. So yesh lo davar saif. So you can say there is an end to this matter. Why? So halo mishnasenu. So yesh lo davar saif. Zimnan deloi istaser v'amr istater. Maybe she was not aser, she was not secluded, and they say that she was secluded. In other words, you can say the same thing the other way around, because, okay, fine, he's believed by himself to say that he warned her. Oh, so that's a problem, he can just lie. Well, he could do the same thing, according to the other opinion, that you're believed al piatzmoi, the husband himself can say the same thing, that she secluded herself even though she never was secluded. So Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Yosef Rabbi Yochanan aflo divrei Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda ein lo davar saif. Aflo divrei Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda v'lo maboil mishnasenu. Adrabah mishnasenu ikar hasam leika ikar. Since kinoi was done with two witnesses, according to our Mishnah, this warning took place with Adam, but there, if he did this himself, if he did the warning by himself, he will be more likely to lie in that case. Not so much so in our Mishnah, because in our Mishnah, the starting point, you really did have two witnesses that did see the whole kinoi, that he warned her. So that was done properly. Okay, fine. The second step, maybe there could have been some lying going on, but the reality is it started off proper. But over here, the whole starting of the whole matter, if he could just make up that he even warned her, that's even more likely. Even in our Mishnah, it's possible that, again, this could be fabricated. Now that we do not have the base of Mikdash, a man should not say to his wife, Lo tisasri bahadi ploini. Do not seclude yourself with this man. Dilma kaimuan Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda. Maybe we actually hold like him. Di'omer kinu al piatzmo. That even your own testimony or your own warning is enough, even when there's no one else around. And therefore, by you doing that, umistatra. And if she ends up secluding herself, she'll become aser. Leika inna mesaita. Mivdaka. There's no mesaita because we don't have the Beis HaMikdash. And she'll be usher to you forever. What exactly is this language of the pasuk and also of our Mishnah of kinoi? So davar hamato kina beino levein acherim. It's something which causes jealousy and anger between her and others. Alma, what do we see? Ksavar kinoi al piatzma. It must be that the husband himself is able to give this testimony. that he warned her. The Kuli Alma lo yadi de kanila, and no one else in the world knows that he did it. The Amri ma de kama de ka badla. They'll say that she's trying to separate herself from people. Yasala mevid kinna bahada, and people will get angry with her because no one's going to know that her husband said, stay away from this guy. So all of a sudden, because she's nervous, because it was actually a good warning, so she's starting to start separating herself from other people, but no one knows about it because there was no witnesses that heard it. But because of that, it's going to cause kinna, anger, among other people. Rav Yemer bar Rav Shlamim Mishmei Dabaya Yemer Davar Hamato Kinna Ben Albina. This is actually something which can cause jealousy and anger between the husband and wife. Why? Because Al Maksavar Kinu El Pishnaim Edim. This opinion is that the kinu is done in front of two witnesses, and therefore everyone knew that he warned her. The kuli alma yade de kanila. Again, everyone knows that the husband warned her. V'ihu diasla mevid kinna bahada, and he is doing this, which says Rashi shazu maknitasai al shachayshta. She's provoking him regarding this chshad. She's going to start getting angry at him because she was being accused of potentially wanting to be with a particular man. So the fact that her husband said this is going to cause anger, especially that he said this in front of a bunch of people, of a couple witnesses. As we continue Gimel Manalef, Alma Ksavar de Asur Knais. Therefore, it must be clear that it's usher to do this, because by doing it, it's going to cause, again, kinna, anger, and a lot of resentment between the husband and wife. Someone who says it's mutter to do this warning. Mahu lashon kinoi. So why does it say that language? In kinu il lashon hasra. It just is a warning. That Hashem warned regarding the earth, but it doesn't mean anything about jealousy. It's just stam. It's just the language. It's a language of hasra. I'm going to stop here and let's start seeing some questions. Question 7. Well, my hilchas hahukash stira latuma, the pasuk v'nisra v'hinitma. What is the connection between stira and tuma? So, according to one man d'omer, just like tuma, you only need one witness. So too, when it comes to stira, you only need one. Okay? Just by both, lo be'in and trey. Another man d'omer is stira he kashir tuma. It's just coming to tell you that this is the time. The amount of time it takes for her to become tamei is the amount of stira that it is. Question 8a. But my kimifli mandi armer shekino lashon davar hametel kina, mandi armer dehu lashon hasra. What's the difference if it's warning or it's a language of jealousy and anger? So the one who says it's hatos kina savar asol kanais. If it causes anger and problems, then you're not allowed to do this. However, the one who says the lashon hasra, it's mutal kanais. There's nothing wrong with it. But my comifli mandi amar kinu lashon davar hametel kina beino levein acherim, mandi aimer de hakna beino levein atzmai. So that they would hold the difference between those two is whether or not kinoi can be done al pi atzmo by the husband, or it has to be done only dafka al pi shnaim, that you need two witnesses. 2a12 as well as 2b13. Ha'im kinoi v'stira sar shnei edim. So again, it's shosh machloikas badavar. Rabbi Lezer says kinoi requires two, but not stira. Rabbi Yeshua says also kinoi and stira, they both need two. And the third sheet that we saw is only stira, but not kinoi. Ad kan.